wasn't too much like that because that particular accent, although very regional, is actually fading away. There is a
Well,
mainish
I
accent.
wouldn't say it is as fast as you say.
You sound like a drug leprechaun.
Oh, you just insulted all of New England.
I didn't know Maine was full of that. But it might be. A lot of rainbows in Maine.
Maine was settled by drunk leprechauns. Now, that is not a slur. The leprechauns came over on a whiskey ship.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how Maine started.
That's a preview of a show Brian Ibbett and I are going to record called Answers to Everything.
I actually found an old document I'd written up for another show I was going to do. Like this, like 10 years ago that I wrote this doc. And it's like it just tries to explain common phrases and their origin, and it's complete nonsense. And I was like, what was I on when I was writing this? Because there's like 6 episodes written out, and I'm just like, I'm going to record this at some point.
Wow. Oh,
There's
cool.
there's a show that actually does that. I'm trying to remember. It's on the History Channel, where they explain the history of specific phrases or words.
You can't get there from here.
That's the only. I remember that from the SNL skit when they had. It was like a Jeopardy. But
You want the old Palmer place. All right, I'm going to start the show. You guys ready?
Yep.
Here we go.
The Daily Tech News Show is brought to you by listeners like me. To find out more, visit dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
I am not starting
The Daily
show
Tech News Show is brought to you by...
because I forgot to do this yesterday. So there's this little thing in Audio Hijack called Instant On.
Mm-hmm.
Many of you may know it.
I don't hear audio. Uh-oh. Okay, so I'm not getting any audio. Can you hear me?
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
I could not. I still can't hear Tom. I hear Tom. I see Tom's lips move.
Yeah, I saw, and I waited for him. I saw my name go by, and I just can't hear anything. What's he
Nothing.
Something about audio hijack, and then gone. He's still going.
So the chat room says they can hear us and Ayaz and myself, but not you, Tom. Oh, and W. Scott says it's coming through AGR, but not on YouTube. And TV is my girlfriend's. I want some root beer.
Yeah, you guys can hear me on there.
Hey.
Oh, okay. I think Audio Hijack probably did something weird to my audio. The thing is, I could still see my levels in the Hangout.
Not sure, but yeah, I saw you do the intro, and I'm just like, oh crap, cannot hear
The
anything.
intro was all messed up too. And any of you listening on the live stream probably knew that. All right, let's try this again, shall we?
All right.
Apologies for the delay. Here we go.
Hold on, I need control.
Oh, yep. Sorry. I will give you the control back. There you go. Okay. 3, 2.
The Daily Tech News Show is brought to you by listeners like me. To find out more, visit dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
This is the Daily Tech News Show for Tuesday, August 9th, 2016. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today, Senior Associate Editor at CNET and Man About Podcasting, Ayaz Akhtar.
That doesn't mean I'm the man about podcasting. Or
Yes.
I do the podcasting, something like that.
You're still doing GFQ shows too, right?
Yeah, I'm on GFQnetwork.com. I've got FiniteComedy.com. I've got CNET.com. I'm on DTNS right now. I mean, I got everything going.
He's everywhere. He's everywhere. Remember Chicken Man? Nobody does. Nobody remembers Chicken Man. But that was his phrase. He's everywhere. He's everywhere. We're going to talk about Facebook's new ad policy. One thing will make you happy, and one thing will make you sad. It doesn't matter which side of the issue you're on. It's like White Rabbit. Nintendo made Archive.org take down its copies of the Nintendo Power magazines, sadly, but hero archivist Jason Scott at Archive.org has put up a new collection of Amiga software. And Intel just bought an Andy Rubin-backed company called Nervana, N-E-R-V, not like the band. That brings machine learning into the silicon. Here are some more top stories. Okay, so an almost undetectable malware platform that has apparently been active since 2011 has been discovered on 30 or so security targets for the first time. In separate reports, researchers at Kaspersky Lab call it Project Sauron. That's the name everyone's using, by the way, because it's the better name. Symantec did lovely research. They called it RemSec, just not catching on. But both companies agree that it is likely a state-sponsored piece of malware. It's just too sophisticated and would have cost a lot of money to develop. It's kind of crazy. It resides in your memory. Not your memory, in your computer's memory, as that would have been really sophisticated. It resides in memory as a binary large object, making it hard for antivirus to detect. It also has a unique profile every time it infects a target. It never reuses an IP address. It never reuses a server, a domain name. It collects passwords, crypto keys, and more. It can also collect data from air-gapped computers by using USB drives with a virtual file system that Windows can't see, and otherwise appears to be an approved device. It was found infecting organizations, both governmental and non-governmental, in Russia, Iran, Rwanda, China, Sweden, Belgium, and some Italian-speaking countries.
Is this the malware hide-and-seek champion right now, or is there something else I'm forgetting?
I think if we were to hold an Olympics, oh wait, not going to use that word. No, if we were to hold a championship of malware, this would be the current reigning champion. It is really hard to find. Even if you find it once, it's hard to create a signature to find it again. It does some crazy things with air gapping, and it just lies dormant. So it's not only hard to detect, but it doesn't do much. The only reason they found it in the first place, according to Kaspersky, was a little bit of weird network activity that kind of looked like a password check, which resides in memory and just makes sure that a password is meeting certain parameters of strength while it is created. But it turned out it wasn't. It turned out it was this piece of malware, Project Sauron.
That sounds really, really interesting. I want to read more about that. Let's talk about Twitter, though. Twitter is expanding its Moments feature to selected influencers and other partners. Moments shows a curated section of tweets around an event and will show up in a Moments tab on the user's profile. Twitter says the ability will eventually roll out to all users, so make your Moments.
Do you ever look at Moments?
I do. I was using it just the other day because I saw the story. Actually, I was using it the other day, and then I saw the story. I looked at it again. It seems like a much more magazine-y kind of way to show things. I like the way it presents the information, but I think it just adds to the Twitter confusion as to what are you trying to be, Twitter? Because they still don't have that down.
I think they're trying to be live. They've said as much, and Moments certainly leans into that. It's like, hey, these are things that are happening right now, and you can follow along as they happen with all the tweets. We have something called collections, which all of us can do right now, but it's very timeline oriented. This is much more visual. It gives you a little more control. It's a classic situation of this is not the thing that's going to save Twitter. I always prefer things to be rolled out to everyone, but I get why they want to build some momentum by working with partners on it and kind of flush out any of the quirks of it before they hand it over to everybody. They have to do a lot more with Moments to put it front and center for me though, before I really start to look at Twitter as a magazine. And every other moment-like service out there, say Flipboard, has had its peak and then faded away. I'm not sure it's the thing that we want from Twitter.
There's also the fact that when I looked at Moments, it reminded me of Facebook Paper, the other app that basically took a Facebook feed and made that magazine-like format, which Facebook abandoned after a while because it wasn't having the same user interaction. So it kind of pains me to see Twitter kind of following an already dead method that Facebook tried, and like you said, Flipboard, other magazine-like or presentations. I don't know if that's just the best thing for Twitter. I feel like they should just be doubling down on live. Just be like, look, here's Periscope, put it in, and let's just go.
Yeah, give me something right off the main page of Twitter that makes me want to pay attention. Here's what's happening now. And it could be moments like, absolutely, I think they're onto something with the design of it, but not segregated out and very much giving me the feeling of I'm tuning into something. I'm being exposed to something I didn't know was happening. And that's what Moments has tried to be up till now. It was curated by an editorial team, but it was always in a tab, and it's going to continue to be in a tab. So I look at Twitter and I think you guys are the ones who do live best already. You just haven't figured out the right button to push to make that be something to propel you forward. Two things while watching the Olympics make me think this. One is NBC is putting in their lower thirds for all of their presenters a Facebook ID, not a Twitter ID. So Facebook beat them on that partnership. But when Michael Phelps, yet last night, had a glowering expression while a competing swimmer was sort of taunting him in the room before they headed out, all the memes that showed him as the emperor and were hilarious were on Twitter. You could not find them very easily on Facebook. Everything was on Twitter. They just naturally have that advantage, and they haven't figured out how to capitalize on it.
Yes, kind of. One day they'll figure it out when they get bought by somebody else.
You think it's going to take that? It's going to take
I honestly do.
Somebody else to get leverage.
I'm not being a doomsayer. I really do think that Twitter's best bet is a being owned by somebody else.
Google is testing a new customization option for its virtual assistant, Google Now. A new feature called Explore Interests gives a wide collection of visual options for the types of content a user would like Google Now to track. It starts with wide categories like people, sports, and TV, and then you can drill down into that into lots of subcategories like actors, particular actors that you would like to follow or not follow. This would be an extension of the existing toggle switches that you have now that are more limited in their selection. Android police spotted the test in the wild, and Google told TechCrunch it is an experiment to test the look and feel, but Google doesn't have anything to announce about availability.
Yeah, the smarter Google Now gets, the better. And that was one of my favorite features on the Google app and on Android in general, just to get that thing really powerful.
Yeah, looking at this, I was very much jealous because I have tried to go into Google Now and say, no, I know I live in Los Angeles. I don't care to hear about every little thing that happened with the Anaheim Angels. I don't follow that team. And trying to find that selection was ugly, certainly. It wasn't hard, per se, but this looks like a much more usable way that I'd want to go in and play with and really customize Google Now for me.
When Google Now would be close to what I wanted, I would not say dismiss this. I'm like, you're close, Google. You're really close. I'm going to click the thing that's close to it, and hopefully you'll figure out over time. Because I didn't want to discourage it, which is a really weird way of feeling about it now.
Yeah.
But that's what I used to do.
And they are striking the right balance of saying we're not getting rid of proactive alerts. We're still going to look at what we know about you and try to give you things we think you need to know. But we're also going to let you have a little control over the things we wouldn't have expected you want to know, or the things we think you want to know and you don't want to know about. And I like that.
We haven't talked about Google in a while. Let's keep talking about Google.
Oh, yeah. Who are they?
They're this little company, but they rolled out a new update to its most popular, the Maps app, introducing a Wi-Fi only mode. Once the mode is enabled, Maps will go offline when you're not on a Wi-Fi network, limiting users to downloaded maps, but saving on mobile data. The update also lets users save maps to an SD card, so you don't have to keep it on your main memory there. Google also rolled out a new feature for users in Indonesia, integrating ride-hailing services like Uber, Grab, and Gojek, along with price estimates and arrival times.
This is huge. Some people in the United States may not think this is such a big deal if you have really good data, but it's going to be huge in large parts of the world that have limited data coverage or restrictive data caps, rural areas, places like that. If you need these maps, because you already had the ability to download the maps for offline viewing, which was a huge boost, but they take up space. And if you can't afford a huge data connection, you might not be able to afford a phone that has a whole lot of space either, but you may have an SD card that has a lot of space, and now you can put the maps over there.
A big fan of this.
Yeah. I still don't understand, and I mean, I understand technically, but I don't understand how we keep promoting SD cards as like, hey, you get all this extra memory, except you can't really use it for everything. It's not like a floppy drive, right? And
Yeah, it's I think that's just Google's figuring out, okay, what do people understand? That's why the Nexus line has no SD card slots, which I still think is a little strange.
Yeah.
Because the idea is, where do your apps reside? I think that was the thing that used to scare Google the most. If you put an app and you moved it to an SD card, took the SD card out, and you're like, what happened to my app? I don't understand. Because they want everything to be super easy. But I think they need to do a bit of education as to what the SD card really is for. And I think this is actually a good way to do it.
Yeah, because I look at it and I think it should work like a USB drive, right? Because that's the way an SD card works on my laptop. I can put whatever I want on it. So yeah, it takes some education. At DEF CON, security researcher and electrical engineer Anthony Rose and researcher Ben Ramsey presented their findings of tests of 12 Bluetooth smart locks. Actually, they tested 16 of them, but 12 Bluetooth smart locks from QuickLock, iBlueLock, Plantrasco, Seomate, Elicycle, Vions, Okidoki, and Mesh Motion. Failed, basically. That's the short version of this story. You may not recognize a lot of those names, and you probably don't want to buy them. 4 of the locks they tested transmitted passwords in plain text. Let me just let that sink in. Just put your passwords out there in plain text. Now, granted, if nobody's standing around you with a Bluetooth scanner, you're likely not to have a problem with that because you're only going to use this when you're near your lock, but that's not good practice at all. 2 sent the passwords twice, allowing it to be changed and thereby freezing out the owner. 1 encrypted the password, but you could still intercept the encrypted password, send it to the lock, and unlock the lock. 1 entered an error state when the encryption key was fuzzed and unlocked the lock. So you just needed to confuse it and you could get in. Others required slightly more sophisticated approaches involving man-in-the-middle attacks, etc. Researchers said they failed to hack 4 locks made by Kwikset and August. Those use properly encrypted connections, 2-factor authentication, etc.
Well, yeah, Kwikset's been making locks forever, essentially. In August, they had, I believe they had a Kickstarter when they came out to their product. And,
yeah,
and
it's 2 ends of the scale, isn't it? That's crazy.
Yeah, and the test at August at CNET, like, we love the August lock at CNET, so I'm really glad to see that. But to see everything else, that's scary. I mean, it's a lock. You want it secure.
Right. And many of the, I guess, it was a little confusing. They said they heard back from a couple of these, but they also said they really only got a response from 1. So I'm not sure what they meant by that. But none of them said they have fixed these vulnerabilities. And 1 even specifically said they don't plan to fix the vulnerability. 1 took their website away, which is not a good sign. It's basically, don't buy any of these locks until you hear that they are secure. But the positive side is Kwikset and August both got a vote of approval there. And I've used both of these. The Kwikset app is not nearly as smooth as the August lock, but it works fine. The August lock system seems to work great. I've actually thought it was pretty good.
Okay, let's talk about the U.S. Office of Management and Budget. They released the final mandate Monday that almost all code produced by government agencies must be made open source-ish. The federal source code policy requires internally developed source code to be shared with other federal agencies, and a minimum 20% must be released publicly. The public open source code system will be tested in a 2-year pilot program. Code will be housed at code.gov, which will launch in the next few months. No particular license is required, but the policy refers to the Free Software Foundation definition as a guideline. National security agencies will be exempt and operate under previous rules.
Now, I'm tempted to be that guy who's like, oh, well, they didn't go far enough. So let me just say, I think this is a good program. I think it's smart to encourage agencies to share their source code with others. I think it's smart to take a 2-year pilot program to make sure they know how to do this right. And even the 20% is a good minimum to say, like, let's get people used to it before we raise this and make the majority of code open source. It's leading people to get comfortable with the idea, because open source is scary to people who aren't familiar with it. I understand that. It is usually more secure, though, because you have more eyes on it. It is the federal government's paid by our tax dollars, so we should get the benefit of things that they make. And they obviously are exempting national security because there's entirely different considerations with that. But why create your own website, Ayaz? Why not just use GitHub?
I don't know. Maybe they can do a better job, or they can take it offline. Maybe, I don't know. But how can you take anything off the internet once on the internet? But I do like the idea, even though this seems a little bit slow and moving. The idea that the federal agencies are talking with each other, that's always been this weird thing. It's almost these silos where you're like, oh, you're this other agency, I'm not going to like give you anything of mine, which is moronic since we're all working for the same country. So you might want to have a unified front on that. Like instead of having open source, at least you'll have all of these agencies looking at the code and they go, wait a minute, we can improve this faster. It might not be the ideal solution, but it's better than it was.
Yeah, I agree. It is mostly good. It's 20% good at minimum. Put it that way. Could be even better. We'll see how it goes, though. And also, we have a new administration coming in at the beginning of next year, one way or another. So it will be interesting to see if that new administration carries through on this program, which I hope it does. Thanks to all those who participate in our subreddit. Submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Big thanks to Slemesme. Macwin UXIT, Abatuela Condolce, another J. Martin is in there a lot. PC Guy 88 back again. Good to see you, Flying Spatula, Darth Atheos, and more. Get in there and submit. And if you can't submit, vote. And if you can, do both. DailyTechNewsShow.reddit.com. That's a look at the top stories. All right, so as I mentioned at the top of the show, Facebook announced it's changing how it treats ads and ad blockers. The company is going to analyze how ad blockers detect ads and then somehow change their code so that the ads are indistinguishable from general content. Company also introducing a change to its ad preferences tool that you can find at facebook.com/ads/preferences that gives you the ability to see what brands are targeting you and choose to prevent the targeting if you wish. This does not affect the mobile version of Facebook. I mean, the mobile app of Facebook doesn't have the ability to do ad blocking anyway. The mobile version on the web is not going to be affected by this. Andrew Bosworth, vice president of Facebook's ads and business platform, told the New York Times, ad blockers are a really bad solution to the problem. We know ads are disruptive. Ad blockers don't work. But that doesn't change the fact that PageFair estimates 200 million worldwide users of ad blockers exist on the desktop. 420 million use ad block on smartphones. And Facebook says they have a solution. Now, I want your opinion on this. They say they're not paying, or like we are not paying the ad blockers, which would be one way to get themselves whitelisted. They're not doing that. According to the New York Times, step one is they take aim at the signifiers in digital ads that blockers use to detect whether something is an ad. Step two, make ad content indistinguishable from non-advertising content somehow. Step three, profit. I made up step three, but the first two steps are in the New York Times article. We have no details on how they say they are doing this.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out this concept of making the content and ads the same, and usually most sites, like let's say a Google, they'll add a little tag. Someone says this is an ad, or this is a paid-for placement, and that should be a signifier. So to turn off that kind of that signal, it seems a little bit odd. I don't know how that's going to work in practice. My concern is really for the user when they're going through their news feeds. If they see a bunch of stuff that they don't realize is ads, or that this is sponsored content. So it might create this backlash towards Facebook where you're seeing this information that you really don't want to get. And that's why they're saying, oh, yes, your ad preferences will be powered up and you can actually see ads you want to see. I'm not against ads. Okay, the only reason I ever use an ad blocker really is because I have mobile data problems. I'm like, I do not want to be loading all of this crap on my phone, using up that data connection when I can actually, see what I need to see, like, directions or something. I just really think it could really backfire with Facebook if they don't do it the right way.
Yeah, and it is interesting to me because the only way to really make your ads indistinguishable from other content is to not set cookies, not put those trackers in, like you say, which means that they would just be serving ads in general, and all they would know is that they were served. Mm-hmm. Maybe they'd be able to, on the back end, look at a server log and correlate a served ad time with a request from a user, without ad blockers being able to know. There's some magic they could do back there. But here's something I found in a separate story that might shed some light on this. Procter & Gamble announced it's cutting down on Facebook targeted ads. Now, a lot of people are misreading this and thinking this means P&G is cutting back on the amount they're spending on Facebook. That's not what's happening. Procter & Gamble's not cutting back their ad spending. They're cutting back targeted ads. Chief Marketing Officer Mark Pritchard told the Wall Street Journal, "We targeted too much and we went too narrow, and now we're looking at what is the best way to get the most reach, but also the right precision." They tell a story about how a campaign for Febreze originally targeted households with big families, and sales stagnated. They then changed their Facebook campaign to just target everybody over the age of 18, and sales picked back up. So what's happening, and several experts have said this, is people are no longer getting a lot out of targeted ads. In fact, Pivotal research analyst Brian Weiser told the Wall Street Journal, "The bigger your brand, the more you need broad reach and less targeted media." So what all this means then is that the big money is not in targeted ads, which gives Facebook a little room to say, well, we'll let people opt out of certain targets, and we can serve some ads that can't tell exactly who they're being delivered to, but we can prove they're delivered, and that's going to be good enough for Procter & Gamble.
You know, when you were talking about the whole eventually profiting on this, I was thinking, how does Facebook make money on this idea if they can't really track you? And I was thinking, you know what, they do have rivalry with Google and now Verizon's Yahoo and AOL combination. So maybe the fact that they actually can say, literally, hey, we know people saw this. We know for a fact people have seen these ads. Now, whether or not they have the same reach, and we can see what they're doing later on, not the same, but it actually could lead to them actually charging potentially higher rates, I don't know, to see if they can make more money on ads that people see. Because who else is seeing them?
I mean, I think that's a fair point. And I thought about that with the targeting. Once you deliver an ad through a system that allows the user to control whether they're targeted or not, you should be able to therefore say this is a higher value target. But some ad companies are skeptical of that. They're like, look, if you go from 1 million impressions to 5,000 targeted impressions, those 5,000 targeted impressions better give you a good return, because otherwise they're still not worth it. So there's a lot more. There's a lot more to what's going on here than meets the eye, I think.
I was thinking about the alternatives as well when it comes to Facebook. What else could they have done when it comes to this? They could do nothing and lose money on ads. They could notice ad blockers and go ahead. Here's a giant takeover like Wired has. So they're like, put us on the whitelist. You can't use Facebook until you do this. Or they could offer a pay version of Facebook. So this might be the least intrusive, I guess. Actually, the second least intrusive. So their alternatives are really slim when it comes to what do you do when you work on an ad business. So we'll see what exactly the...
I mean, it's $1 billion ad business too. Like it's a crazy ad business. All right, we're having a little connection problem with Ayaz, but hopefully we'll get him back. Let's get to our pick of the day. Ryan the DJ has a pick of the day for people who love to be organized and who, like Owen Stone, don't like subscriptions. The app is called Pocket Informant by Fanatic Software, and it's available for Android, iOS, and is in early access release for macOS with a full 1.0 set to release soon. It can sync multiple calendar sources, task lists, feature notes, and contact management. There's a focused view that gives you a summary. There's an Apple Watch companion app, and the company is planning to future expansions with options for more enterprise-level features and eventually a Windows version. The best part is the app is a one-time purchase. This addresses Owen's frustration. They offer their own sync service if you want it. That's $50 a year, but you don't have to use it. You can sync with Google, Evernote, Toodledoo, iCal, and iOS reminders. I forgot Toodledoo even was around. But yeah. It is a all-in-one solution. Again, this is a pick from a listener from Ryan. He loves it. You can check it out on your own. Seems to get really good reviews on Google Play. It doesn't have that many reviews on iTunes, unfortunately. PocketInformant.com is the place. Send your picks to feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com, and you can find more picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. All right, let's get to our message of the day. Natron wrote in and said, my bank says that for credit card purchases that I have 6 months to submit a dispute for a defective product that should be covered under warranty that the manufacturer isn't honoring. So a class action lawsuit might not be people's only recourse. In my case, I was having trouble getting my Nexus 5X repaired by LG. They returned it to me, but it still doesn't work, and I'm going to see how this plays out. Now, this doesn't change the law for that we were talking about yesterday. If you missed yesterday's show, there is a law in the books in the United States that says you can't prevent people from effecting their own repairs or hiring a third party to repair an item. You can't basically void their warranty because of that. The burden of proof is on the manufacturer in the U.S. to show that the repair hurt something and voided the warranty. But most manufacturers don't pay any attention to that. And of course, we had several people point out, yeah, Apple does this too, Microsoft does this, Google does this, everybody does this. But it is in fact violating the law. And the reason it's carried on is that they know nobody's going to come in and sue them. So they just let it go. What Natron is pointing out is not a change in the law, and certainly an easier reaction than a class action lawsuit. He's saying, hey, your credit card might have covered you. This is a practical way to address it. It's not going to fix the underlying problem. But if you're in a position where you're like, I can't afford to sue the company, and they're saying it voided my warranty, maybe you can at least go use your credit card to do that.
Well, I'm going to jump in here, Tom.
Oh, hey, Roger. And
I'm going to ask, is it, unfortunately, my camera seems to be a little laggy, but you'll hear my voice. Is this time for something equivalent to, so when you buy an automobile, you get what they call lemon laws, which will cover you to the point that if I think it's after 5 or 6 repairs, the dealership, or rather the car company, needs to buy it back from you at what you paid for it because it is defective. I mean, would it make sense to see some sort of legislation along that line?
That's a separate thing. Yeah. If you have a piece of equipment that you have to keep getting repaired, but that doesn't solve the underlying issue, which is I only had one thing wrong. It was an HDMI connector went bad, and because I had gone in and replaced the hard drive and didn't cause any damage when I did it, the company can say, oh, you voided your warranty by opening it up, and that is against the rules. That is against the law. All right, we seem to have Ayaz back somehow. What happened?
Sort of. I have no idea. I'm using my phone right now to come back to the end here. I'm really apologizing about this.
That's all right. We're just wrapping up the show real quickly to bring you up to speed. We were talking about the law that says you can't void a warranty because someone affected a repair that didn't damage the object. And Roger was like, well, do we need lemon laws for electronics?
Because along the same line,
to me, it's two different. It's two different.
They are two different things, but honestly, I think they do overlap in such a way. I mean, for example, if you take your car in for a regularly scheduled oil change, like you change the oil according to, that's covered, even if the car's effective, just because you changed the oil at say you bought a Toyota at a non-Toyota dealership.
Right, and that's what this law we were talking about yesterday actually should apply to electronics, and the electronics manufacturers are not respecting that law.
That's a tough one. I mean, electronic manufacturers these days, what exactly are you getting when you buy something? Like, are you getting a license to use it? Or are you actually getting to use the hardware? So this one sounds murky to me right now.
Yeah. Well, that is it for this episode of Daily Tech News Show. Thank you, Ayaz Akhtar, for persevering. I'm glad we got a really good discussion in before the internet gods started to mess with us. By all means, let folks know where they can find more, what's going on with you.
Go to cnet.com. We've got stuff there. You can go to gfqnetwork.com. I've got stuff there. I'm going to go to my Facebook, facebook.com/ayaz.akhtar. That's right. The Olympic people are doing it. Oops, did I say a bad word? I'm doing it too. So I actually post a lot more to Facebook. So if you want to follow me there, it's open.
Facebook.com/ayaz.akhtar, Akhtar. If you want to support the show, we would love to have you join the amazing people who are making this show happen. Without those people, there is no show. Go to dailytechnewsshow.com/support or patreon.com/DTNS. Reminder, if you just need the headlines of the day, some days that's all you got time for, get them in less than 10 minutes at Daily Tech Headlines, dailytechheadlines.com. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. Catch the show live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. And our website is dailytechnewsshow.com. Back tomorrow with Scott Johnson. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Boom.
Yay.
So yeah, it was weird when you said I was crunchy. I thought there was going to be a problem with my connection, and then when you dropped out, I'm like, okay, can the video people still see me? But then Roger kept showing screenshots as I talked, and I was like, okay, that's weird. Weird
Yeah,
thing.
my router says that it says your internet service provider does not have its DHCP configured properly.
Oh
So I don't
wow.
know. I'm like, what? So right now I'm restarting my router to see if it's gone stupid or if the modem's gone stupid or what, because I'm on Verizon's network right now because I don't know what happened to Time Warner or Spectrum, right? So why did it crap out?
Yeah, no, that's crazy. And when you back channeled me and said, "Hey, your audio's crunchy," your audio was great right up until the point you disappeared. Your audio was fine.
Like you were at this weird kind of like this, and then it would speed up, and then I'm like, what on earth? I'm trying to put it all together.
So your download was getting affected, but your upload stayed good until your connection went away.
Well, from my perspective, both of your audio were pretty good. Your video was a little shaky, but I mean, in terms of audio quality, it was fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna reboot and see what's going on. Just very like I have to do a piece by piece troubleshoot because if this is down, this is going to be a very unpleasant reality.
Yeah, no, that's why I have 2 internet providers now, for that very reason. Because when Frontier took over Verizon, I had a very crappy weekend, long, almost half a week there.
Did I tell you that Verizon Fios actually services the building like 2 over?
Yes, you told me that. It's so annoying.
And it's so depressing. It's kind of like, can I just put an Ethernet cable here? Like, just tell nobody?
That's what I said. You should just run it like a clothesline, you know.
I need to talk to somebody in that fancy building. Like,
yeah, right.
Listen, I'll pay you $20 a month just for this network course. That's it.
Just help me run it across the street here. No problem. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah. And I just want your upload speed. That's what I really want. I don't care about your download speed. I'm pretty sure it's probably only 20.
It seems like something the devil of Hell's Kitchen would help you out with.
Yeah, except that I don't know if he could though.
Well, because he's good at parkour, right? So he could grab the Ethernet cable and jump across without anybody seeing.
That should be his other day job. He should really be a person who works for the cable company.
Vigilante and a vigilante cable runner.
Activist cable runner.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying is he shouldn't work for the cable company because they won't let him do this for you. You need a vigilante to bring the Ethernet without their knowledge.
That's what he does. He's the vigilante of fiber.
Yeah, fiber vigilante.
Like
it has a totally different meaning. Fiber vigilante. It just sounds like someone doling out bowls of Metamucil to people. Okay. Here's your fiber.
Your doctors are lying to you. You need more fiber. Yeah. We need some titles.
Titles.
I'm going to try to figure out what the heck's going on with this because.
Of course. Go focus on fixing that. Thanks for being on.
Yeah. Well, yeah, always fun to be on. So I'll see you guys later.
All right, take care.
At the top we have it's all in your memory. Is it Twitter's moment? Not the this is not the malware you're looking for. Really,
I like it's all in your memory too. That's very poetic.
You're out of lock. Get it?
Oh, you guys got good ones today.
Facebook ad infinitum.
Google
now becomes more useful.
Right.
Malware. 20% open sourced. The malware's in your memory. No, really check your brain. The ad block is hot. I don't know. I have to say it's all in your memory is pretty good.
Yeah, it's either that one or Facebook ad infinitum. Let's let some people vote for a minute because I'm still exporting and importing and stuff. It's all in your memory is my favorite, but Facebook ad infinitum has the advantage of being about the main topic. So
vote. Do they play that tune at every baseball game?
Yes, I believe they do.
I've always wondered if it's like a regional thing.
I grew up with that. Charge.
Like, for example, I never knew they did the whole what the heck is his name? Sweet Caroline song at
Neil Diamond.
Yeah, Neil Diamond.
That is a ballpark specific one, or at least it used to be. I think some ballparks have started to borrow it, but That is a Red Sox thing, through and through.
And I didn't realize that a bunch of other parks use the Journey song "Don't Stop Believing." I always thought it was like the Giants because
Yeah, that used to be just a Giants thing. I don't know.
Steve Perry was like a huge Giants fan.
I think when Glee came along, that brought that one out of the woodwork or something. Out of the Woodward and Bernstein. All right, we're getting towards the end. I'm writing the ID3 tags. What? Facebook ad infinitum. It's the People's Choice.
People's Choice Awards.
Done. That was a really good show until his connection crapped out.
Yeah.
I mean, it was still an okay show afterwards. Thank you for jumping in, by the way.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I saw him come in, so it's like, oh, I'll give it a minute. And
no, you did exactly the right thing, which is give him a chance to jump in. He, by the way, if you're wondering, he restarted his modem and it's fine now.
His modem. I have to say my other than the occasional overheat on the modem I bought, it works pretty well. And it saved me $7 a month for like 4 years, 5 years, 10 years. I mean, if you think about it, I don't know why they charge. I don't know why you can't buy fiber. Oh, maybe you can. Fiber modems. And I have my router with the open source firmware on it. I think it's pretty solid too. Picking people, email.
So I upgraded to the latest version of Audacity, and it has a bug where you can't drag the file into the timeline anymore. It's apparently fixed in developer's code, but it's annoying.
That's always a little obnoxious when something happens like that, where it's like, oh, yeah, I thought I was supposed to do this.
So I've just been choosing import from the menu, which is fine. It's not as nice. But apparently you can drag it down to the application icon and it'll work. It just won't work if you drag it to the program timeline itself. Little tips. I ran down a tip with Quicken over the weekend that ended up actually helping people, which was crazy. I posted my solution on getsatisfaction.com and a bunch of people responded. In fact, one person even knew who I was.
Oh, that's kind of creepy. I don't like that because I was at the soup. I remember when I was on Screensavers, there was a call for help. I was shopping at Safeway and someone came up to me. It's like, hey, what's up? Oh, you're Roger Chang from the Screensavers. It's like, yeah. Buying groceries. Apples look good. I don't know. I'm still kind of weirded out by that. Some people take it, and it's not like I'm angry.
I had a guy come up to me at the grocery store like a year ago and recognized me from Cord Killers, and he just said like, "Oh, I just wanted to say hi. I like the show." And that was it. Like he didn't. It was
like
fine.
I'm never impolite. I'm always like very gracious. It's like, oh, thanks for supporting the show. It's really important to have fans that really appreciate what we do. But it's not that I'm uncomfortable. It's just it's still a weird feeling for me. For someone to know who I am and me not having any inkling of who they are.
You a cop?
Wait a minute. Were you there that night that went down?
You trying to serve me papers?
Someone did that to me once, and I did not know who it was, and it was someone from grade school.
Oh, really?
Like I guess I physically didn't
serve you
know that
papers?
much. Because that person changed it, like their hair was different.
Oh, yeah. You hadn't seen him in forever, too. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but people that's the thing. Like I didn't recognize it, but I either stick out or I really just physically.
You haven't changed a bit, Roger Chang.
You're just a bigger version of the person you were back in '84 or '85.
I didn't have
bigger,
a beard.
fatter version.
That's my big difference. I was much better looking when I was young, too. Sad to say.
Everyone says that. I think I've basically maintained.
You're
whatever.
just as good. That's why people recognize you. There you go.
I'm just as handsome and ugly as I was
you
back
ever
when I was
have
a
been.
kid. You know, it's funny because Jen says the same thing. Says, I look at baby pictures of you, Roger. You literally don't change. You just look like bigger versions of the same person.
Yeah, big baby. I mean that literally. Like you look like a big baby.
Like she
a
looks
big
at me
baby.
like when I was a kid. It's like, right, you look the same. Like,
BioCow's like, I said hi to Roger at Night Attack, and it made him uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's because we were over at that part of town that's kind of, I mean, that part of town's kind of weird. Although I have to say, I didn't expect to see the condo across the street when I stepped on the dog or human poo or whatever was on the sidewalk. That's why I think that place is just. I was gonna invent basically shoe covers because they have them for furniture movers where they're basically booties that go over your shoe. But I would have like basically like a lint roller. You could rip off the heel. There would be like 6 more. So if you stepped in something, you could just rip it off. So you're not walking around with like soiled heels or something.
Just watch where you step.
That's right, Tom. I guess it's easy for someone like you just to look where they're walking, to look where they're going. Some of us is not so easy.
Me? What do you mean by that? What are you trying to say?
It's a lot of poo in San Francisco.
I know. It's not like LA is any different in certain areas downtown.
Yeah, but you have to drive.
You have to drive to
I'm hoping that's some sort of barrier. Listen, I remember the night that some drunk guy rang my doorbell. It was like ding 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 ding. It's like, oh crap. So I went downstairs and all I saw was a giant puddle of urine in my front door. And I think someone was so drunk that they just leaned against my doorbell.
Oh, and rang it by accident. Yeah.
And I was like, ah, damn it. And then I had to come down with a hot bucket of water and bleach. It's just it's annoying.
Yeah.
I didn't move from San Francisco I didn't move to San Francisco.
You didn't? You didn't?
This. No.
I
moved from Central.
We are published. Thank you all for watching or listening. You guys are the best audience in the world, and we will be back with Scott Johnson tomorrow. Watch where you step.
Scott Johnson.